this time we got some Star Wars news. So, this is one of those things. I don't like to gloat. Oh, fuck it. Yes, I do. When all those people are out there, oh, Star Wars is doing just fine. All these news stories you guys are pushing about this is just hate propaganda bullshit. The toys are selling. People are going to Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars is just fine. Move along. Nothing to see here, right, folks? Well, I guess there is something to see here. In fact, Bloomberg is only allowing me so many. This is how important Bloomberg is. They're only allowing me like one more article this month, so I have to like make it worthwhile. And this is worthwhile, don't you think, kids? Star Wars is struggling to win over a generation of kids. Rob, you can't wait to chime in here, obviously.
Yeah, this comes file this under the no shit Sherlock.
They did it to themselves.
Well, we told them that.
Yeah,
100 times. My kid don't care. He's 9.
And
he sure care. He used to.
If you want a little bit more on this, go over to the main channel. Check out our video we have about some of the reasons why. But you give
touch on that.
Unlikable characters.
There is another video coming soon that I think will touch more on this specific subject. But we'll get into this topic of the video at hand here in just a moment. This is actually a little bit unrelated, but related at the same time, I'd say. This is like the cause and effect. This is cause and effect. This is what happens when you disregard your original fan and expect a bunch of kids to come in and take up the slack for you.
What do butts have to do with it? I mean, you said it's butt related.
I like big Asian butts, and I cannot lie.
Doonbuggy.
Okay. Well, anyway,
especially in Doonbuggies.
Hey, 1066.
Okay.
Right. Long live the holiday special.
Well, that would be an awesome one. I'll take the holiday special over the Last Jedi.
Really would. Most people would make it a little bit longer,
and I make no apologies for that.
Dude, if they made it a little bit longer, they could have had Rue McClanahan come in for like a guest spot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they weren't the Golden Girls yet.
Yeah, but it's wait a minute, long time ago. And yeah, you're right.
B. Arthur was still Maud.
Even though it's space, it's still not the future.
Yeah. So anyway, Bloomberg has said, it's hard to say this as someone who grew up pretending to be Han Solo battling Darth Vader and stormtroopers to rescue Princess Leia. But it must be said, kids might not be into Star Wars anymore. Well, you think? Walt Disney, okay, before we go any further, didn't The Last Jedi get some kind of award being like the top mature movie of the year or something, like top adult movie? So anyway, not the good kind of adult movie.
You said good adult movie.
Walt Disney Company's note to self, book trip to Vegas for the AVN Awards.
Oh, I've been there during those. I've been there. Like I was walking right through where all the porn stars were one year.
Giggity.
They seem nice.
Yes, I did that on purpose because they commented on the photo shaking. That's because like every little bump and move I make makes it shake just a little bit.
Walt Disney Company's underwhelming theme park attendance last quarter was the latest sign the intergalactic saga isn't resonating for younger generations raised on Iron Man and Fortnite. Really? Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger was so sure fans would be blasting through the door that he had instituted a reservation system for visitors to enter Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the new attraction at Disneyland. It turned out not to be necessary. Star Wars toy sales popped with 2015's The Force Awakens, the start of the trilogy that united Han, Luke, and Leia with a new band of heroes, but have slumped since. Solo Star Wars story last year's spinoff featuring the backstory of beloved characters utterly bombed. The Last Jedi, the second in the new trilogy, was profitable but fell shy of the predecessor's performance. The next installment, The Rise of Skywalker, who cares, will have the very future of the franchise riding on it when it debuts in December. Who cares? I don't care at this point about The Rise of Skywalker. Honestly, I don't. That pains me to say that.
I'm pretty sure Lando's gonna die.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have something to say to that, don't you, George?
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday.
Yes, you did. Why
It
don't
was
you
neat.
say a little bit about that while we were at it?
Well, first off, he looked good. He was in a hip red suit. Very nice guy. He had on some shades. He looked smooth. But I was like, are they going to kill you in the next movie? Or are they going to just like ruin your character for one of these other people or something? And like, he was like, no, man, no. But like, after a while, he was like, what do you want me to tell you the whole movie? And I was like, well, yeah. Because it's like, I do actually, because you got to get me
Yeah,
there,
kinda.
man. Nobody's going at the moment. But I don't know. He made it sound like he hasn't even seen the final cut. He's only gotten the pieces of the script that are his, so he doesn't even know the whole movie. You know what I mean? So how's he going to tell me? But
Yeah,
I'm sure he's got a hell of a
that
better
makes
gist
sense.
of it than I do.
Right.
So they might do something on the cutting room floor with him and eliminate him. Who knows? I don't trust him though. I just hope they paid him properly.
Hopefully
I
they
know.
didn't, or hopefully they treated him with the respect he deserves, being an icon and a legend, and not what they've been doing with Mark Hamill.
It's Kathleen
You forget
Kennedy, so
who-
no, of course
I
they
was
did.
going to say, you forget who's in control here.
Yeah, the first thing I said to him when I walked up to him was like, dude, you're real Lando, not like fake ass Lando.
And we'll get into this just a little bit more, actually. We probably should have saved this for the next part of the conversation. But anyway, Rob, continue with this article so we can talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, there wasn't supposed to be such a disturbance in the force when Disney bought Lucasfilm Limited in 2012 for $4.05 billion. It already had a template for intricate web of sequels and spin-offs it hoped to create around the Star Wars brand. Marvel Entertainment, acquired 3 years earlier, had rolled out a series of interrelated movies with characters who went on to join up in the blockbuster The Avengers. Then Disney's most successful film ever. The films are supposed to combine with TV projects and the theme parks to create a virtuous cycle where fans get excited for each new iteration and can immerse themselves in the world of their heroes. There was every reason to believe Star Wars would have a similar path, with its endearing droids, otherworldly life forms, and minor characters like Lando Calrissian and Boba Fett, who inspired their own cult followings. Okay, and this is where they get to blaming the fans.
Yeah, it sounds so good on paper for a minute, doesn't it? Until you realize what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. Like fan sniping. This is where they blame the fans. Instead, some of the franchise's most dedicated fans have been sniping at the way Disney has handled their favorite characters from the old movies, and the new trilogy's heroes like Rey, Poe Dameron, just haven't inspired the same fervor among young people, with toy sales falling flat around each new installment. The Disneyland attraction, along with a Star Wars Land opening at Disney World in Florida later this year, are designed as much for older dudes as they are for tykes, with a Millennium Falcon themed ride and a cantina where you can debate whether Greedo shot first over vodka cocktails called Bloody Rankers. Iger has attributed disappointing box office figures to Star Wars fatigue, and he's pledged to slow down the tempo of releases, but that doesn't square with the success of Marvel, which reliably churns out a blockbuster every 4 to 6 months. Well, here's the thing, and here's the thing I would say. The big difference between Marvel and Star Wars is that, Star Wars is this big, expansive thing, but there's not a whole lot of characters in there that are interesting. The entire thing is about a guy and his dad, really.
You know what? Even though they started off the heading of this part wrong, this is a bit of refreshing reporting from the standard media. They're at least pointing out all the shit we've been pointing out.
Like, yeah, it's because there's nowhere else to go with it at this point.
They can't lie because their stock's in the toilet. It's public information that their stock has been going down. And
yeah, it's not like a different kind of industry where there's trade secrets. Everyone could just go take a peek through the red box at what the last couple of Star Wars movies looked like, and they're like, "Oh, there's your problem."
Moons of Madness says Star Wars fatigue equals code for crappy Star Wars. Yeah. And that's the biggest problem. The output has been lackluster. Yeah, okay, Rogue One was pretty good.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't like all the characters, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good enough.
It could be
I like
argued
the
that
male
Rogue One
lead.
was, yeah, but you could be argue that Rogue One was fixed with reshoots and editing too.
Yeah. And they had to bring in Tony Gilroy to fix it.
Yep.
Kathleen
Yeah,
Kennedy.
it wasn't like a big deep movie either. It was just like a quickie pirate adventure, really.
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy has fired more directors than she's hired. Seems like. And
Feels like it.
And I know.
I think if the numbers even, yes. If you count, since Lord and Miller are two.
And I know there's people that will defend her. Well, she's a great executive. She's not good at running a franchise. Most of her success, and I make no apologies for saying this, most of her success came down to timing.
Yeah. Timing, being in the right room at the right time.
Yes.
Rob and I have
Showing Spielberg.
Yeah.
If you're making movies with Steven Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis, of course you're going to be making good fucking movies. Kathleen Kennedy had anything to do with the success of those movies. It could have literally been Gilbert Gottfried producing those movies.
So I said to Kathleen Kennedy, I said, I want to do a Cassian Andor series, okay? And she said, no. Okay, I want a female lead in the next solo movie, and we're going to call her Ephes Nest. I said, boy, what a bitch. She was difficult to deal with, all right?
That just reminds me of Ford Fairlane when she's got him barking like a dog.
Oh.
It's like Kathleen Kennedy was fortunate enough to play on the same team as Michael Jordan. That's what it comes down to.
Pretty much. And I mean, stupid button. This is one area where Robert Meyer Burnett and I disagree on, because I've said it before and I'll just said it now. Kathleen Kennedy is basically that. She's lucky to be on the team with Michael Jordan. That's all it is. She's not even Ringo. Ringo was in the right place at the right time, but he could play drums.
That's true. Very good point.
She's not even Stu Sutcliffe.
There you go.
Oh,
That's a deep cut for all you Beatles fans out there. You got that reference, but yeah.
So anyway, let's keep going on with this. Some people delayed their visits to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge because they thought it'd be overwhelmed by tourists when it opened. Iger said Tuesday, channeling Yogi Berra. In other words, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Wizarding World. So where are they going instead? One clue would be the rising attendance over at Universal Studios Hollywood, where the Wizarding World of Harry Potter saw an increase in spring break visitors last quarter, fueling sales of souvenirs and buttered beer.
Yeah, well, that thing looks cool. They made like the whole Diagon Alley and the whole school for people to walk through.
Disney plans to parlay the robust Marvel properties into theme park attractions of their own, but isn't giving up on Star Wars by any stretch. Along with The Rise of Skywalker, the company is debuting a live-action Star Wars TV series, The Mandalorian, later this year on its new streaming service. The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson is developing a new trilogy. Are we really going to keep pretending that's going to happen? And creators of Game of Thrones are working on a movie. We're going to pretend that's still happening.
It's cute they think that. It's really cute they think that.
They think Rian Johnson's still going to make a Star Wars movie. That's adorable.
Well, they could make the projects and the same 20 people will watch them, then they'll go bankrupt again, and then they'll wonder why, and then they'll give them another trilogy. Try to work it out,
Well, anyway, it goes on. This may be a hiatus, but Disney spent a lot of money on Lucasfilm, and it's going to keep making and investing to make it a success. We build these things for the long term, Iger said of Galaxy's Edge, or as Yoda might say, patience you must have. So, but we got a super chat from Tim Riggs. Ka-ching. Tim Riggs, $4.99. I love the headline. Pro tip: winning over the next generation of kids is a lot easier when you haven't blown to hell what their parents like. Yeah. And Thank you very much, Kaching. And I said this before. I've said this before. I don't have any. Jesse, do you have kids?
Yeah, I have a son. He's 9. He's pretty wonderful. I love him. He's very intelligent too. So like, the same things that bother you bother him, and he's able to articulate such things.
He seems to have pretty good taste from some of the pictures you showed me from some of his
Yeah.
costumes, Halloween and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
One
man.
thing's-
I mean, he's more apt right now to actually go and watch G1 Transformers or Garfield and Friends or like anything like. But it's not the shit they're putting out now. There's nothing on TV right now he's clamoring to see. You know what I mean? It's all old IPs.
yeah.
Well, that's because every time they remake something, kids are like, okay, this sucks. Then the parents will be like, oh, here, there's the original. And they're like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
And you're precisely correct because, like, I have Boomerang, right? Boomerang is really great. It's $40 for a year. Go buy it. But that, like, he likes Garfield, right? So they'll have the CGI ones, and then they have the old series, and the old series is superior to the CGI ones, and he doesn't like to watch the new ones. I didn't force that on him. I left him in a room with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the CGI just looks bad sometimes, or cheap. It looks cheap, and like hand-drawn animation, as cheap as it still can kind of come across, it's still you have to have a certain amount of skill and talent, and it still took a lot of time to draw it, and there's some care and love that came from a lot of that they just don't have with this mass-produced Flash stuff and whatever, and CGI stuff. At least I don't think so, but
I don't think so
One of
either.
the things that- I was gonna say I feel a lot of the CGI animations feel soulless. Sorry.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Same thing with like all the remakes and reboots. It's all just soulless.
Like a lot of it doesn't look like the actual characters have physical weight in their own universe, and it breaks your suspended disbelief when somebody could draw a guy holding an apple and it looks like a guy holding an apple.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I said is that, and you probably went through this with your son. If I had a kid, son or daughter or whatever, I would love to have taken him to see Captain America.
Mhm.
First Adventure. This, we would, so this is Captain America. I used to read his comic books when I was your age. Really?
Oh yeah, I got on
really.
with this stick with all the different tickets from everything. I save everything for when he's old or when I'm old.
Yeah, see? That's awesome.
Yeah, but like pretty much
you
every
can't
Marvel
do
movie, man.
Yeah, well, too bad we're not going to be able to do that for much longer because it's all about the trend of shit.
Yeah, they all started with Captain Marvel, though. They just had to do it, and now they just screwed themselves over and shot themselves in the foot. So I'll go watch Looney Tunes and Three Stooges. It's okay.
Well, no,
the
they make
Looney Tunes
movies.
Black-
Or every time they make these movies, though, they make money. But how much of it are they actually, just deferring marketing funds to? Hey, we've got all this marketing money, or we have this extra money. We'll hire this PR firm, and we'll take it out of the PR budget from this other thing. So they're pumping in so much money to make these movies that they are too big to fail at the end of the day. Because I keep hearing reports of people saying, "Oh yeah, we sold 25 tickets online for Captain Marvel, and nobody's here." Now that people showed up.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
just shady. That's more like fraud.
Oh yeah.
It is. Let's move into the next part of this report, though, because as we did a video on, and Doomcock and Gary did a video on it as well. I don't know. Did you do one on it, Mecca? I can't remember. About
I've talked about this for probably months and months ago about how I also think that is the licensing and toy issue. So
yeah, well, I was just going to say we've brought it up here. I don't know how many times where we brought up the original trilogy, at least the non-special edition trilogy. I've said it before, and I'll say it again here. George Lucas has complete say over whether or not those are out there. And there has been 2 public screenings in the last, I don't know how long, of the original version of Star Wars. And I think George Lucas had to sanction both of those. Again, we have a situation where George Lucas still has a lot more control than people think.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing another video that's going to bring to light a few other things about the whole situation that hasn't been out there before. So I don't want to say too much right now. But let's talk a little bit about this whole royalty thing and how this actually probably plays into why they're trying to avoid using the original characters so much.
So you're going to explain terms in the Galactic Senate.
Hey, and it's a better Star Wars movie than Star Wars.
I have a very low confidence in Disney.
Vote of no confidence.
So Rob, you narrated the video. Andre wrote it. I sat there and said, but we're missing so much shit. And Andre's like, there's like 2 more videos here, so just cool your tits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how much truth there is to this rumor that's out there, but certain aspects of it do make sense. And I will reiterate, it doesn't matter who owns what, because Disney, okay, ironically owns Marvel, right? But they still have to give credit to and pay royalties to the people who created the characters that they use in the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
That is why when you watch the movie, it'll say so and so is created by on the title screen there, you know, in the credits.
Star
Same
Trek
thing-
based on Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, well, it's the same thing here with George Lucas. No matter what happened with the sale of Lock, Stock, and Barrel or not, George Lucas created all those characters in the first trilogy and the prequels, for the most part, outside of the few that Kasdan probably came up with. So he's going to get royalties until he dies, and his kids will get the royalties after that. It's just there's nothing you can do about that. That's almost like a given thing in Hollywood. So I've seen a lot of comments that were like, "Well, how does that work? How does that work?" That's how that works. Now, some other people brought up the whole issue of Solo and Rogue One. Solo, first of all, is not the Solo we know. He's more than 25% different. It's young Solo. Everything in the movie, if you notice, like Chewbacca doesn't look exactly the same. There's things that are different about him. The Millennium Falcon's a little different. Lando's younger and different. There's things here that they're making different enough to where I'm sure that they can carve off some of whatever royalties they would have to pay George Lucas. Now, George Lucas has always had his finger in the pie as far as merchandising. Anybody who knows George Lucas knows that he's first and foremost about the merchandising.
I used to call him George Toy Boy Lucas.
Yes, he wouldn't even. That's the one stipulation he gave Mel Brooks when Spaceballs came up. He's like, you can make the movie, but you cannot do merchandise. And as far as I know, until he took over Lucasfilm, I did not see one bit of Spaceballs merchandise, and now I have 2 T-shirts. All of a sudden, since Disney owns Lucasfilm now. But anyway,
Yeah, the only thing I saw was the soundtrack.
well, yeah, the soundtrack doesn't count though. That's an
No.
ancillary thing to the movie.
Yeah.
That's not a toy. That's not a T-shirt. That's not, the stuff they made fun of in the scene. And that was probably the inspiration for that scene as well, I'm willing to bet. But there's more to this that I can't get into right now that we know about. But I will say this. I don't think Lucas gives a shit about anything to do with Star Wars. I don't really think he cares too much about even the royalties so much. I do believe that Disney will do whatever they can to avoid having to pay him more than they have to. Because another thing everybody's not saying in this is George Lucas owns more stock in Disney than any other single person.
Does he?
He's going to get money no matter what. So yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Well, Tom, it's as long as they keep the checks coming, they could piss on me when I'm on fire, It's just.
And why does he sound like Kermit the Frog?
Because he does sound like Kermit the Frog.
You better do better than I do. So
I'm gonna lay some shit out here now. I didn't really care. I just was gonna give it away, and that's the truth. We got that from a reliable source. But the taxes were going to cost too much, so I had to sell it. And ended up with a bunch of stock in Disney. And then all of a sudden, I call them white slavers for some reason in the news. Something's up. Something is up here. We don't know all the ins and outs yet. We're trying to figure it out. But I have a feeling that, yes, this is true. Lucas does get some kind of residuals no matter what. He still has some say over the original trilogy. I don't think Disney gives a shit if they release the original trilogy or not at this point. But if he didn't have any say over it, they would have released an unaltered version by now. I guarantee you that because they know there's money in it. So,
Yes.
yes. And another one from Tim Riggs, another $4.99. Thank you so much, sir. We got a super chat here. I got to get this one. Rob?
yes, Tim Riggs, the $4.99 residuals / licensing / etc. to Lucas, plus using the SJW stuff to try and shove acceptance makes way more sense. Wealth has always driven decisions. The part of the things is that, and I know I always quote Gary from Nerdrotic, but Gary does do a lot of videos about this, and he is right. Hollywood is 2 years behind the curve. There was a survey a couple years ago asking, are you interested in comics? And 54% of women said yes. So now that means we're seeing the fruits of that. Not do you like comics? Do you read comics? Are you interested in
comics?
Mhm.
Not even do you buy comics?
That's the important question.
Yeah. And it's been proven time and time again, the audience they want doesn't show up. They're trying to choose their audience now. And they're doing it with characters that nobody likes. It's impossible to like.
Right.
Did you
And
know?
I don't want to stick up for JJ, but from what I know of the original script and some of the rumors I heard, JJ wanted each one of these trilogy movies to highlight one of the OG characters, and that would set up the new characters for their own trilogy. But Disney insisted that they kill off the old characters and push the new characters up front. Sorry, Rob.
This whole thing totally drives me crazy, because if you had taken The Force Awakens, right, and written a different movie, they could have easily taken the characters of Rey, Poe Dameron, and Finn and sent them off on, different experiences and made them perfectly valid.
I think he just dropped out, or he accidentally booted himself.
I think sometimes it crashes. It's done that a few times.
Once in a while, yeah, it depends on what you're doing. But, he'll be back. There he is. Okay.
Damn. I hate when it does that when I'm making a point.
Now you're under me, Jesse.
I don't know how much you heard of that.
We missed the last bit there.
But they could have taken these characters, right? Brand new characters. Like Rey, they could have had her go through a lot of trials and tribulations to become something more than the nothing she was at the beginning of the movie. They could have taken Finn and done a lot with him, because first off, for some reason they made him a janitor. They could have had him, gradually leading to this and having his stomach turned over a long period of time instead of that being
He
a
should have been a
battle
badass
scenario.
Should have been a badass fucking like really good at his job, and then realize I'm on the wrong side, and then that's a plus for him to go over to the other side.
Yeah, and then Poe Dameron. I mean, they took a guy who was going to be like your hot shot, and then they just took his nuts off.
Yep,
completely. And they fucked up a lot.
It's the same thing with our BB-8 is just a ball. Literally, he's a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
BB-8 is only there because they didn't want to use R2.
Because they want to pay for R2.
Exactly.
Or they want to make money off of something other than R2.
That's the point. And that's the thing here. We got another comment on there, and I hate bringing these ones up because they're trollish, but it needs to be addressed. He's like, why do you guys always come up with the same scenario for these things? It's like you're recycling the same conspiracies or whatever. It's like, dude, you have to stop and think. First of all, copyright law works this way when it comes to this kind of shit. Second of all, the same fucking people who are involved with Star Trek and shit are now involved with Star Wars. Why would you expect them not to make the same fucking mistakes again? You
know, it's like the little decisions. It's like with BB-8, why'd you have to design like a cutesy new droid? Why couldn't you have used like a R4 droid that we've all seen before and we're more interested in? 25% see what they could do. Like that little red bastard.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. It's like, duh, folks. This is JJ's MO. He wants to come in, make his own things, make his money off them, and Disney's got the same exact motivation. So this is actually worse than Star Trek in some ways. I think Doomcock just said this again recently. He said it before, too. In a way, it's worse for Star Wars, because at least with Star Trek, we can ignore Discovery. We can ignore JJ's 2009 movie and Into Darkness and Beyond and so on. It's very tough to ignore The Last Jedi when that's Luke Skywalker on screen, when that's Mark Hamill on screen.
That's all you're getting.
You know what I mean? That makes it kind of official.
Yeah, Star Trek is so much that you could go a la carte with how you look at canon. But, dude, Star Wars, what you got? You got 6 movies. You're screwed. Or 7 movies.
7, 8 now, 9 going to be this winter. But here's another thing to go back to with the stock of how Disney's doing. They had their biggest year ever so far, and Star Wars hasn't even come out yet. But yet their stock's not doing well. We're getting this story about Star Wars. We're starting to hear this shit about George Lucas. It sounds to me like they're trying to come up with excuses to, I don't know. I really don't understand why they are so. When you got to pay George anyway, fuck it. You might as well milk what you can out of the original stuff while you can. That would be my saying.
Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, why not subscribe and click the bell icon for all the latest content? And be sure to check out our other videos. Stay tuned because another video is coming right up.